Welcome to Money Mastery, the podcast where we break down the secrets of financial success.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Ellie. In this very first episode, we're diving into the 4 rules of money they never taught you in school.
Simple, powerful principles that can change how you handle money forever. Let's get into it.
You know, if you're tuning in, it's probably because you're looking for something more than just the usual advice on clipping coupons, right?
Yeah, people want the real deal, how to actually understand money.
Exactly, how to make it work for you. And that's precisely what we're digging into today. The 4 rules of money they never taught you in school.
We've been looking at content from Practical Wisdom, interesting ideas on YouTube for this. Really trying to pull out the core ideas for, building financial smarts.
And it's so important, isn't it? The source really stresses that being financially literate, having that know-how.
It's not just about getting by.
Right. It's the foundation for real progress. We're talking about achieving financial freedom.
Where you're not just tied to the 9 to 5.
Financial independence, where your assets actually cover your living costs.
And that underlying financial confidence, just knowing you can generate wealth.
Yeah, and here's something that really jumped out at me, that feeling of scarcity, like there's just not enough money to go around.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people feel.
Well, the perspective we looked at argues something different. It's more like money itself isn't the scarce thing.
It's the knowledge of how to get it,
Yeah,
the skills.
Exactly. It's like learning the rules of a game. Once you know the rules.
You stand a much better chance of actually winning, or at least playing well.
That's a great way to put it. So our goal here is to really unpack these 4 rules for you. Think of it as like a cheat sheet, maybe.
Yeah, a guide to help you level up your own money game. So where do we start? What's rule number 1?
Okay, rule number 1 kicks things off with, don't invest in what you don't understand.
Sounds simple enough on the surface.
It does, but think about it. If you really want to build wealth long term, just working for a salary, well, it probably won't cut it, right?
Definitely not. Investing becomes pretty much essential.
So when people hear investing, they might think stocks, bonds, real estate.
Yeah, the usual suspects. And the source touches on those. But it makes a really strong point that the most important investment you can make
Is in yourself.
Exactly. Investing in you.
Okay, let's break that down a bit. Investing in yourself. What does that actually look like?
Well, they talk about building your money-making machine, which is basically your brain.
Okay. So learning things, getting knowledge.
Yep. Especially financial education, obviously. But also just staying sharp in your own industry, your niche, continuous learning.
Because the more you know, the more valuable you become. Makes sense.
Totally. And knowledge builds that foundation. Then the source talks about investing in your business. This feels super relevant for entrepreneurs or side hustlers.
Reinvesting profits, right? Not just taking everything out.
Yeah, it's framed as essential for growth. They use this analogy like fueling a car. Your business needs fuel to go anywhere.
So that fuel could be marketing, R&D, product development.
Whatever keeps it moving forward and competitive. You can't just expect it to grow on its own.
Okay. And then there's real estate investing.
Right. The classic buy low, sell high idea. The source mentions, starting maybe with residential property.
Fixing up places that need work, finding undervalued stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe moving into commercial properties later on. It's about spotting that potential and adding value.
And what about stocks? That's what a lot of people think of first.
Yeah, buying shares, owning a tiny piece of a company, hoping for profits or appreciation.
But there are risks there too, obviously. The source points out a lot of people lose money.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely not a guaranteed win. Which actually brings us right back to the main point of rule number 1.
Doesn't matter if it's stocks, real estate, your own business, whatever it is.
You absolutely have to understand what you're doing.
The source really warned about scams and, just bad advice floating around.
So much of it out there. It really falls on you to do the research, the homework, and ideally get advice from people who've actually done it.
People with skin in the game, as they put it. Real experience.
Exactly. Not just theory. So the bottom line for rule 1 is crystal clear.
Before you put a single dollar in, make sure you get it, inside and out.
Don't invest in what you don't understand, period. So what's next? Rule number 2.
Rule number 2. This one might make some people pause. Debt is a powerful but deadly weapon.
Ooh, yeah. Debt usually sounds like a bad word.
Right. But the source offers a more nuanced take. It draws a really important line between good debt and bad debt.
Okay, I'm interested. What's the difference?
So bad debt is essentially debt you take on that's unlikely to pay you back, financially speaking. The big example they used was student loans.
taking on huge amounts without maybe fully grasping if the career path will support repaying it easily.
Exactly. Or just making massive financial decisions without understanding the long-term weight of that debt. It drags you down.
Okay, so that's bad debt. What makes debt good?
Good debt is debt taken on with a clear repayment strategy, and crucially, it has the potential to actually make you more money.
Like a business loan. You borrow to start something.
And if the business succeeds, you pay back the loan, and you've built an income-generating asset. The debt helped you grow.
So it's about using debt as a tool strategically.
Precisely. Used correctly with a solid plan, it can be a tool for wealth creation. But misuse it.
And it's that deadly weapon. It can really hurt you.
So you need to understand it, respect it, and know exactly how you're going to handle it. It's not something to take lightly.
That distinction is huge. Debt that holds you back versus debt that could potentially propel you forward. Okay, makes sense. What's rule number 3?
Rule number 3 shifts gears a bit. More into mindset. Think rich.
Okay, think rich. Does that mean like fake it till you make it? Buy fancy things?
Not exactly like that. It's less about pretending and more about how you internally approach money and wealth.
How so?
The source describes it as really visualizing yourself as wealthy and then starting to act in ways that align with that future vision. Interestingly, they even touched on maybe living slightly above your current means.
Ooh. That sounds counterintuitive to a lot of advice.
It does. And they acknowledge the standard advice like, live below your means. That's generally sensible. Obviously, don't spend money you don't have.
Right, the basics.
But they challenge the idea that the main way to get wealthy is by, obsessively cutting tiny costs. Skipping your daily coffee isn't going to make you a millionaire, probably.
Okay, so what's the alternative focus?
The argument is that your focus, your energy, is better spent on gaining new skills that increase your income. Aim to earn enough to support the lifestyle you want.
Rather than just shrinking your life down to fit your current income.
Exactly. It's a shift from a scarcity mindset, I must save every penny, to an abundance and growth mindset. How can I earn more?
And that shift, it might help you spot opportunities you'd otherwise miss.
That's the idea. If you're constantly thinking about how to make money, how to create value, you start seeing pathways that just weren't visible when you were only focused on pinching pennies.
So think rich is really an internal posture, believing in your capacity to build wealth and actively seeking ways to do it.
Yeah, I think that captures it well. It's about mindset driving action towards income generation.
Interesting. Okay. That leads us nicely into the final rule, I imagine.
It does. Rule number 4, develop skills to acquire assets. This one really ties it all together.
All right, let's clarify terms again. Assets put money in your pocket.
Liabilities take money out. Simple enough.
And we're back to the brain being your biggest asset?
Yep. An asset you can develop. And this rule focuses specifically on how you develop it for maximum financial impact.
Okay.
The key is developing high income skills. Skills that the market really values.
Why are they high income?
2 reasons the source highlighted. 1, they bring significant value to the marketplace. They solve big problems or meet important needs. And 2, because of that value, they command substantial income.
So it's about being valuable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the advice is to shift your thinking from just working for someone else's paycheck.
Towards building skills that let you generate income more directly by delivering that value yourself.
Yes. Become a value creator. Identify your strengths. Figure out what high-value skills align with those strengths, and then hone them.
And developing those skills is what allows you to acquire more assets, things that generate ongoing income.
That's the connection. Your skills become the engine that buys the assets, whether that's investments, a business, intellectual property, whatever puts money back in your pocket. It's about building that sustainable engine for wealth.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's a proactive approach.
Definitely. So let's quickly recap those 4 rules we've covered, drawing from practical wisdom.
Number 1, don't invest in what you don't understand.
Number 2, debt is a powerful but deadly weapon. Handle with care.
Number 3, think rich. Cultivate that growth and abundance mindset.
And number 4, develop skills to acquire assets. Build your value engine.
These really do feel like foundational principles, don't they? The kind of stuff you wish they'd taught in school.
Absolutely. They touch on mindset, risk management, the importance of continuous learning and skill development. It's a solid framework.
It certainly challenges some conventional wisdom.
Yeah.
Makes you think differently about saving versus earning or how you view debt.
Yeah. So maybe a good question for everyone listening is, which of these rules kind of hits home the most right now? Or which one feels like the biggest challenge to your current way of thinking?
That's a great reflection point.
Yeah.
Because just hearing them is one thing, but thinking about how they apply to your situation, that's where the change starts.
For sure. And like we said, this is just the beginning. We'll keep digging into these ideas and future deep dives, exploring how they play out in more detail.
Definitely more to unpack.
Well, thanks for joining us for this first dive into money mastery. Maybe take a moment after this to consider which rule really resonated, or maybe pushed back against what you thought you knew.
Yeah, that ongoing curiosity and willingness to learn. That seems key to mastering this whole money game.